Good morning. Welcome to Studio 365, powered by tablethink. Today is Saturday, May 26th. I am Joshua, and I am here in the studio with Pastor Kerrie Palmer, enjoying this beautiful weekend.
It is. It's a long weekend.
Yes, a very long weekend as we celebrate Memorial Day.
I know. To me, it signifies many things, but it says summer is going to start.
True, yes. Yeah, it's kind of always a marker that the summer is arriving.
I know. It's just, I know technically it's not till later in June, but for most of us, this just says, okay, party on. Summer's coming.
Yep. Once we've hit this, all bets are off, and we're going to be enjoying that summer.
Exactly. So are you doing some really fun things for this weekend?
I'm hoping just to do nothing.
Oh, one of those. It's so funny because you like those kind of weekends, and I like to just really be busy and be with friends and family. What's going on with us?
I don't know. I just like, I think my dream is just doing nothing. Like that. That's like
because you're so busy in the week.
If somebody said like, what's a dream? It'd be like doing nothing, having no responsibility. But I'm sure if I really like long-term were doing nothing, then I'd be like, give me something to do.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, I love to be with people. So I think it's just our difference in personalities. Yeah. And, as we get further into, spending more time as we do our shows and everything, I think we're learning that we have a lot of differences.
We do. Yeah.
Just not just from, obvious, but, all the way through. So I'm just looking forward to having a great weekend with family and just enjoying that extra day that we get to have to be together and everything. And so we have a really great message today, and it's from Romans 8, and we will be later on, actually in June, really focusing on that chapter particularly and going through what it means. And I have always loved Romans 8, and this is just part of a verse. And I know, back in the seminary days, never take just part of a verse. And
Context,
here we are.
yes
exactly. But it's worth talking about. And it's one of the but statements.
Oh, do you like that?
Well, of course. Because to me, there's that darker side of something, and then but there's more. Yeah. And I think you could it's like the announcer in you should really love this.
Right. Yes.
And this is what it says. It says, but those who live in accordance with the Spirit have their mind set on what the Spirit desires. That's kind of huge. Yeah, because at first glance you think, uh-oh. I don't know if I have what the Spirit desires. It's just kind of this thing until you realize what are those things. And when you start looking at the fruit of the Spirit is really what the Spirit desires. The first thing that comes to mind is love. Are you desiring to make sure that you love yourself, which is kind of huge, love others, and the big one is loving God.
Right.
But all of that goes together. And, sometimes when I sit down with people, they get loving God, they get loving others, but they don't get about loving themselves.
Interesting.
Yeah. Isn't that something that, you're so much fun. Why wouldn't you love yourself? It's fun. But, there are people that when they look in the mirror, they don't like what they see. And they don't want to be that person. Yeah. And all of us have those times. Let's just face it. I'm sure as fun as you are, there's times it's like, I don't like yourself. Yeah. Because we have those times.
Right.
But it's when it goes further than that. It's loving the life that God has breathed into us, loving who God has created us to be. It may not be that we're walking in that space that God has made for us, and we need to turn around and shift that. But in the end, it's being aligned with what the Spirit desires. And, I think about some other things. I'll walk into a room sometimes and you can feel the disorder, the chaos that has been created, and sometimes just by one person.
Right.
Now, I know you have a lot of meetings. When you walk into a meeting like that, what's your first go-to? You're like,
My first go-to is I'm going to turn around and walk out of this and pretend that I was never here and call in sick. Does that work?
Well, actually, I've seen you in action over that. And what I see you actually do, even though maybe in your head you're like, I'm out of here. Yeah. I see that you bring calmness, and you are really good at really just talking about the reality of where things are and what can happen. And I really watch you you have the spirit of calmness, which is, I really believe, from God.
Wow.
I know.
Maybe you should tell that to my wife. No, yeah. He's a calm guy, really.
No, I just see that you bring that to the table in a group.
Yeah. And there's lots of times that people will be upset or really riled up. And it's hard to think clearly and make decisions and have conversations when someone is like that. So, so I think kind of one of my go-tos is, hey, let's, chill out for a minute here. Let's calm down and really just, look at this.
Right.
Think about it.
Well, I know for me, when you've done that, I've loved that you have that part in your leadership. You're a great leader in that, and you bring that calmness. And I think that when we have the with God life, that we have that opportunity to bring calmness,
right.
And that really is part of what the Spirit's mindset is,
right?
And so that we can do that. So I think this weekend, as we're having a lot of fun and doing those things, that we have the privilege of bringing those things that the Spirit brings into our life. So Joshua and friends, I will talk to you tomorrow in Studio 365. I hope your weekend is good.
Yes. Thank you for listening to this episode of Studio 365. Since it is the weekend, our Studio 365 After Hours podcast is out. It comes out every Friday at 5 p.m. So make sure to check that out and download it. You can go to our website, studio365daily.com, and find it there. We'll see you here tomorrow.